Good afternoon, everyone from Mumbai, India. My name is Elsa Marie De Silva. I'm your host for this afternoon evening, and I'm a Rotary Peace Fellow. Along with my co-hosts Spencer and Saloni, I wish to welcome you to this event. If you're not already following us, do check our events out on the Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association page on Facebook, or check our website out. We'll put it in the chat section. I know there are people from all over the world joining in, so welcome everyone. And do keep an eye out for our events. I personally find them very interesting, and we try to bring in grassroots leaders to showcase the great work that is being done on the ground. And it also gives us a chance to engage with them firsthand. So today our event is Swakrushi, Reshaping Gender Norms in India. We are currently in the midst of the 16 days of activism to end gender-based violence. And this is an appropriate topic to be talking about because in many countries, especially mine in India, violence is so patriarchal and is systemic and structural in nature. And reshaping gender norms, challenging stereotypes is essential if we want to end the violence against women and girls and other genders. So it's my great pleasure to introduce this session and also welcome our panelists and our speakers for today. We have Dr. Thanamal Ravichandran, Dr. Alessandra Gallier, Padma Kumar Varejaksha Panikar, Douglas Varshall, and we will also have Michael Victor, who will be introducing the session. Their bios have been put in the chat section and has also been circulated on the email. So do check them out. They are all very impressive. We have two grassroots leaders as well, Vijaya and Swathi. So they will be speaking later. Over to you, Michael.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Elsa. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm actually in Ethiopia. It's great to be connected to everybody. Particularly, it's great to be part of the Rotary Peace Foundation work that we're doing here. I'd really like to thank Spencer for putting this on and hosting us. And it's great to be here because I used to work with Dr. Vitun and Dr. Surichai a lot, who are part of the Rotary Peace Fellowships in Bangkok at Chulalongkorn University. So really happy to be part of this. Also, great to set this up. Douglas has done a great job with this video with everybody there. And so it's a really great opportunity to highlight some of the issues that Elsa already mentioned. Before we start and share a video about livestock development and how important it is for sustainable development, I just wanted to say this session, I would say, and the video that you will see that Douglas produced is dedicated in a sense to Michael Blumel, who is one of the premier leading scientists in forage development at ILRI and around the world. He worked with many of the Indian colleagues, and I think he worked in India for decades with both the cooperative and others to help develop forage for milk production. And he passed away, unfortunately, earlier this year. So I just wanted to take a second to remember him. As you'll see in the short video that we'll show, it's not about ILRI, but it's about how livestock really kind of supports sustainable development. And for us, that's very important because at ILRI, our mandate is very simply put, better lives through livestock. And that's what we try to do. The International Livestock Research Institute is co-hosted by the governments of Ethiopia and Kenya. We currently have 14 offices we have 14 offices all around the world in Africa, 4 countries in Asia, and then we have staff hosted in Scotland and Costa Rica, amongst other places. ILRI has about 620 permanent staff, both scientists and support staff. Again, we work on all aspects of livestock to really ensure that we're achieving sustainable development. As you'll see, more than 800 million people depend on livestock for their livelihoods. So livelihood improvement and value chain development is something that we work on, increasingly. Gender equality. Women are a majority of livestock keepers in many situations, or traders. They're essential across the value chain and across livestock systems. So we really try to work on gender equality and gender transformation. As you'll see here as well in this film, improving breeds and improving seeds for forage development and forage production are an incredible part of what we do. We look a lot about how do we make sure that we ensure diversity of livestock and forage production. We have large amounts of seeds that we have kept and breeds that we've kept. We also work a lot on climate change and sustainability. As we know, livestock, particularly industrial livestock, is a big contributor to climate change. And we're really trying to work on that, making sure that we understand how livestock livestock production can be mitigated in terms of climate change, particularly in low and middle income countries. And so we're really working on that. We work on advocacy and policy development to make sure that we're providing evidence-based information to policymakers and investors. And finally, as we've seen with human health, with COVID and this last pandemic, we work a lot on animal and human health interactions and diseases. So really trying to stem and mitigate any animal-human human transmissions, as well as food safety, animal welfare, and antimicrobial resistance. So Indri kind of covers the whole gambit. And with that, again, we're not going to show a film about Indri, but really about why livestock matters to sustainable development. So I'd like to hand it over to Spencer to start the video.
Is things okay?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Spencer. Again, just to show you that livestock, and we'll see that today, really has an incredible impact on people all over the world. One of the things I've enjoyed working at Indri is, particularly in Africa, everyone is affected by livestock. There's incredible stories about researchers and how their parents use the livestock to help educate them and send them to school, or even when you get married and, you know, the transfer of goats and cattle for marriage dowry. So it's very interesting. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Tanamal to introduce things, I think, on the video. Tanamal was a researcher at Indri for many years, looking at gender and looking at dairy development. And she is now working with the Sakti Group of Industries and 50% with Kumara Guru College of Technology and the ABD Dairy Company, Swatia and Vijaya. So it's excellent to have her, and it's great that she's still part of our network as well. Thank you, and over to you, Tanamal.
Thank you very much, Michael. Let me introduce myself. I'm Tanamal. So I worked with the Indri for last 8 years. Just last month, I moved to Southern India due to COVID situation and all family issues. I'm back to Southern India. So let me to introduce, before introducing the project, how I was involved with the Mulukunur Dairy Cooperative. Let me to share few lines. So when I was working for my PhD thesis, I was from that time I am involved with the Mulukunur Women Dairy Cooperative because I did my research on institutional comparisons for the women empowerment, like which type of institutional setup can help for the women empowerment and also the inclusiveness. Because in India, if you take dairy, 26% of the GDP is coming, GDP of agriculture is coming from the dairy. So dairy plays a major role in rural development. That we could have heard from many stories that India is #1 in milk production with 190 tons of milk is being produced and processed. So in that, the major role was played by the Operational Flood Program and the dairy cooperative setups in India. Even though there were much dairy cooperative setups and all, but the membership to the women was very less. So when I went to Mulukunur Women Dairy Cooperative, it is the only dairy cooperative in India with 100% members are women. That means before 20 years back, there was a thought by few women to start the dairy cooperative just for the women as a membership pattern. From there, they have started. So I did my research comparing this women dairy cooperative, all women dairy cooperative, with the mixed dairy cooperative and then private dairy company. I tried to see what are the factors which are helping for the women empowerment aspect and all. This one of this project which I did with this women dairy cooperative is the Fodder development project. That means technologically how we can increase their production, because these women are organized so nicely to process the milk and then the payment system, everything very organized. But the technologically there is not much work has been done for the productivity enhancement. That's where Indri has came into the picture to help this dairy cooperative to introduce the new fodder variety, which I will present in the first film. I'm going to show about how this dairy cooperative is being organized. Let's see the film first, then I will explain about that. Please, Spencer. You can see the women who came from the villages. They are sitting, all the people, all the women are sitting there with the cooperative staff to clear their bills, how much milk they have poured, what is the money they can get. This bill is having a list of 93 farmers with a total amount of 142,397. So each farmer will get $20 for 15 days. So total of maybe $40 per month from 1 or 2 cows per family. You can see many men are sitting here. These are working in the marketing team. They collect the milk sale money. They get the money and count it here and they give it to the cooperative. They came here to collect the cash. You can also see some of the men along with them. For the security reasons, their son and son-in-law used to accompany them for the safety of the money. So we have seen the film which was showing a payday in a molecular dairy cooperative, which shows that it is inclusive in equality. Women equality doesn't mean that only women. There are some men in the dairy cooperative working where like a marketing team and artificial insemination team, where the men are also working within the team. And also when there is some training and all, not only women, but also men also participate in the training. When the dairy cooperative started 20 years back, there was a high hesitation among the men to participate for their women into this dairy cooperative because they were very afraid that their breadwinning will go if it is going to the woman's hand, their position within the household may get loosened. So they didn't support for the women to become the members. But over the 2 to 3 years of struggle, when the household men saw that women are working for together and they are trying to help for the supportive in the household expenses and all through the money they collected from the dairy sale, they also supported the women dairy cooperative because their burden of only breadwinner within the home is being shared by their life partner. That's why women got some respect within the community and also within the household level. This is the one film of how this cooperative work from the village level to the head office level, the distribution of money and all. Let us see one more film on how the milk pouring at the village level is happening. That gives some indication the work style, how they have organized 32,000 women, how they have organized at the village level for the milk pouring and transport of the milk to the head office. Let us see that film also. Please, Spencer. The trucks are coming from the villages with the milk. They are unloading the milk cans. After the milk cans are opened, the girl, you can see how she is checking the milk for its quality. She tries to stir the milk and then she tries to smell the milk. If there is any bad smell, she discards the whole can, she keep it away. You can see the people who are standing in the side of the milk cans. They are trying to check which village the milk comes from, whether it is cow milk or buffalo milk. You can see the green sticker which is having the cow milk and the orange sticker which is the buffalo milk. After checking and after noting down the which village and how much milk, the girl who is sitting in the side, she is taking the sample of the milk from each village and she sends the sample to the laboratory for further analysis. So we have seen that how they have collected the milk from the village level and how they are processing. So this women dairy cooperative, they give more importance for the quality of the milk. If there is any default in the quality, they just discard the milk. So one of the main thing in the how Indri has played a role, when they used to check the quality of the milk through fat and SNF. So in this region, like Swakrushi milk is famous for its quality from the village and freshly coming and processed and send it to the nearby towns and all. So Indri played a role how we can increase the quality and also the quantity of the milk, productivity enhancement. So fat and SNF is the main factors for setting the price of the milk. There, when we discussed with the dairy cooperative, we can see one of the chairwoman, like head of the cooperative, 12 members are formed as a committee. From that 12 members, one member acts as a rotational base. They act as a chairwoman for the dairy cooperative, who is also kind enough to join with us in this meeting also. She will talk at the end of this meeting. So in this, Indri introduced a Fodder project in 2015 for the productivity enhancement. Especially we introduced QFS 29 Fodder, which is a drought tolerant variety, because sometimes this region is little bit less rainfall. So after much discussion with the cooperative and the scientists, we selected this fodder variety, which is suitable to this region. And the specialty of this fodder variety is drought tolerant, and also it's a perennial grass. You have to sow it only one time, you have to seed it, and then you can continuously get the fodder every 45 to 50 days for almost 7 years. After 7 years, you have to replant it again. So let us see one more film, how this technology, because technology what we introduced based on the institutional setup this dairy cooperative had, which we have seen in the last 2 slides. Let us go to the Indri introduction of this technology, what has been changed in the coming last film. Please, Spencer.
India is now the world's largest dairy producer, with almost all of this milk coming from small-scale farmers owning just a few dairy cows or buffalo. The demand in the country for milk and milk products is booming, opening up big opportunities for small producers to benefit from new milk markets. But wide use of traditional dairy methods, especially poor quality and quantity of feed, can't keep up with the soaring demand. To help small dairy farmers compete, the International Livestock Research Institute, or ILRI, teamed up with the Malukanur Women's Cooperative Dairy in a 2-part pilot study investigating the impact of a new fodder variety on milk productivity and how this high-tech forage might also improve gender equity in smallholder dairy farms.
Indri has taken the new fodder variety QFS 29 developed by the Regional Institute from Southern India, and they wanted to test whether it increases the milk productivity and also how this new fodder changes the gender ecosystem within the smallholder dairy production system.
ILRI's study area is northwest of the supertech city of Hyderabad, a semi-arid region in central India. 16 villages were involved within the operational zone of the Women's Dairy Cooperative, one of India's most successful and unique dairy institutions.
Exclusively, all the membership of this dairy cooperative is given to women. There are 25,000 women members participating in this dairy cooperative.
Women predominantly handle the dairy operation, from feeding and milking cows to processing and selling the milk, with men working right alongside. At its startup almost 2 decades ago, the cooperative tellingly chose to call its milk brand Swakrushi, which translates as self-help, and developed marketing slogans claiming quality milk is Swakrushi milk, which can be understood as self-empowered milk. A key point at the heart of the establishment of one of India's first all-women dairy cooperatives. Over the years, the cooperative conducted many trainings with other institutions, including numerous attempts to promote other green grasses that were often unsuccessful. For Indri's new semi-arid study area, the promising COFS 29 grass variety, developed by the Tamil Nadu Agricultural University of Southern India, was chosen for its high and fast biomass production and high biomass feed quality. Initially, 25 women dairy farmers were given COFS 29 seeds and planting instructions. Kalavathi was one of them.
నేను పాల కేంద్రంలో ప్రెసిడెంట్గా ఉన్నాను. 10 సంవత్సరాల నుండి మెంబర్షిప్గా ఉండి పోయిన సంవత్సరం అధ్యక్షురాలుగా. పాల వ్యాపారము ఎప్పటికీ కంటిన్యూగా నడుస్తుంది కదా. పాల వ్యాపారం మేము ఎప్పుడు గ్యాప్ లేకుండా పాలు పోస్తున్నాము.
During the study, Kalavathi went to trainings, planted the seeds, fed her cows, milked them twice a day, and delivered the milk on her motorbike. She learned everything she could about COFS 29. At the cooperative's collection point, her milk is weighed and tested and quickly given a value, a price per liter. There are 3 test factors that fix this price.
Most important is fat content, next SNF, and then specific gravity of the milk. All is being recorded automatically from the milk analyzer.
Here we can see that the milk quantity was 1.49, 5.6 was the fat, 28.7 was the specific gravity. So the amount which is coming 50 rupees 9 paise. That means around $0.8 so we'll get for this evening milk.
Using the new feed, Kalavathi and the other dairy farmers were now consistently getting higher prices for their milk. Not only was quantity and quality improving, but dairy animal health as well. It had to be the COFS 29. Kalavathi's husband agreed.
పచ్చిగడ్డి రోజు ఆవులకు కోసేయడం వల్ల మాకు ఒక నెలకు వచ్చేసి 4,000 నుండి 5,000 వరకు వస్తాయి. దానివల్ల మా ఆదాయం పెరిగింది. మా భార్యాభర్తలకు, మా పిల్లలకు చదువులకు కానీ దేనికి కానీ మా ఖర్చులకు లోటు లేకుండా ఉన్నది.
Word of mouth about the effectiveness of the grass quickly spread among the villages. Co-op members liked it because it grew fast, was easy to cut, and the dairy animals ate all of it because it had no sharp leaf edges, leaving no wastage. Shortly after, almost 500 farmers were planting COFS 29, with some even selling excess seeds, making a small business of it.
అవి ఫలితం వస్తుంది, దాంతో లాభాలు వస్తాయని అమ్మదాన్ని చేసి వాళ్ళు ఇంకా కొంచెం వేసుకోవాలి, ఇంకా కొన్ని పైకి రావాలని అనుకున్నాం.
With COFS 29 adopted by the women's dairy members, it was time to ask the second part of Indri's question. What gender transformations, if any, did this new green grass variety provoke? The answer lies partly in understanding why the Malukanor Women's Cooperative Dairy was set up in the first place, whose very start can be considered something of a gender transformation.
So the most important aspect of this dairy cooperative is that the income from the milk sale, it goes straight away to their woman, and she has all the right to spend the income. Earlier, the mixed dairy cooperative, they're dominated by the men in the decision making or controlling the income. But in this cooperative, woman is the center.
Devendra is a good example of a founding member of the cooperative. She joined 17 years ago. She was a daily laborer at the time, earning little money.
4 గంటలకు వస్తాం. 4 గంటలకు వచ్చి అంతా క్లీన్ చేస్తాం. పెండ తీసి వీటికి కుడుకులు పెట్టి నీళ్ళు పెడతాం. వీటికి ఆవులకు బర్రెలకు నీళ్ళు పెట్టి అయిపోయినాక మళ్ళీ సొప్ప కోసుకొస్తాం. సొప్ప కోసుకొచ్చి చిన్నగా నరికి వాటికి వేస్తాం.
ఈ మహిళా డైరీ స్టార్ట్ కాక ముందుకు మహిళల పరిస్థితి ఏంటంటే ఇంట్లో వాళ్ళు తీసుకొచ్చిన వాటితోనే చేసుకోవాలి.
Devendra's son, who lives at home, plans to expand her dairy business. He supports the idea of a woman's dairy cooperative And when he marries, he wants his wife to join too.
వాళ్ళలో డెవలప్మెంట్ బాగుంది. వాళ్ళను గుర్తింపు ఇచ్చి ఇట్లా చేయడం వల్ల వాళ్ళు ఈరోజు సమాజంలో విలువగా బతుకుతున్నారు. వాళ్ళ చేతిలో ఉంది కాబట్టి ఇప్పుడు. సో అంత ముందుకు డైరీ లేక ముందుకు వాళ్ళకి ఏం లేదు కదా, వాళ్ళ ఎవరు గుర్తింపు లేదన్నట్టు. మంచి గుర్తింపు వచ్చింది ఇప్పుడు ఈ డైరీ కాబట్టి మహిళలకి ప్రథమ స్థానంలో ఉన్నారు మంచిగా.
Once the survey results were in, it was clear that use of this green fodder influenced gender norms in 3 ways: time, knowledge, and money.
Usually in the villages, women graze the animal at least 3 to 4 hours every day. When Indri introduced this new green fodder, they started planting this near their homestead land. That has given women some decreased work burden.
The 3 to 4 hours needed for grazing was reduced to 20 to 30 minutes, freeing up time for women to get involved more with family and leadership activities. Kalavathi, for example, ran her dairy and had time to become chair of the local dairy co-op, something once unheard of for a woman with little free time.
Sometimes women can't carry such a huge load of this green grass. That time, men he started helping to carry.
As dairy was becoming more lucrative and less labor intensive than crop growing, more men willingly shared the dairy burden with the women to gain more income for the entire household and extra time for themselves as well.
This is one of the gender norm changed through green fodder innovation.
Knowledge enables. The original 25 women in the pilot study learned all about COFS 29 cultivation and its use. Then they took this information and did something with it.
Previously, men always used to think that key is the knowledge power, key is to direct the woman. When woman is having knowledge on anything like feeding, how to feed the animal, within her household, she gets respect.
Men are the traditional knowledgeable farmers. With the adoption of COFS 29, women are now knowledgeable farmers as well. This is a change in gender perceptions and norms, which promises to lead to even more decision-making by women in the future. Cooperative members milk their cows and are given a price for the milk, a value for their efforts. Every 15 days, their co-op delegates present the village milk bill at the main co-op office and return home to distribute the cash to the dairy farmers.
When woman is getting more income, men started feeling easy because it is reduced his burden that, oh, I have to earn money. This increased income has posed some good relationship between men and women within the household.
The gender norm change here is that before, only men were considered the breadwinners. With this forage innovation, women's dairy contribution to the household income is now becoming more significant. Indri's pilot study introducing a new fodder variety to small-scale dairy farmers in India yielded not only greater milk quality and quantity, but also greater gender equity. The innovation further reduced women's labor, giving them more time to spend with family and community. Yet, still more needs to be done. This innovation should be scaled up to reach all members of the cooperative, and household gender norms should be further studied, especially as increasing numbers of educated and entrepreneurial young people are becoming more involved with the Marokano Women's Cooperative Dairy.
Thank you for watching, and you can see from this film. Thank you for watching. We can see from this film how the technology can increase the milk productivity, which will lead to the household income, and within the household, how the gender norms can be changed, not only in the household and also in the her ecosystem, how it has been changed. For example, if you take in India, the productivity, we are producing the milk with the numbers, means more number of animals with the less productivity. That is the thing. If you compare this with the labor, if you take the women contribution into the dairy industry, it's more than 70% of labor is being done by women for feeding, taking care of the animal. If we can introduce the technology to the right person, like including the woman, inclusivity, if we include the woman into the technology uptake, definitely it will make the changes in the annual productivity and also make the changes within the households for the woman empowerment aspect also. Thank you for watching the video with us. We are open to the questions. I'm giving over to the other panelists. Thank you very much, Saloni.
Thank you so much, Tanamal, for taking us through the inspiring journey of the cooperative. I now invite the panelists to join me for a virtual panel discussion to share their insights and their experiences, and then we'll open to the participants' questions as well. All the attendees can please use the chat box to put in your questions. And I'll start with my first one. How does gender transformative approaches fit into livestock development, and what are some of the constraints? If I can start with Alessandra.
Thank you, Saloni. So thank you so much for inviting. Thank you for this beautiful event, and thank you, Tanamal and Douglas, for the videos. Exciting. So first of all, just a general idea of why we do gender research at Indri. So what we know is that of the 600 million poor livestock keepers in the world, 2/3 are women. So women are the majority of poor livestock keepers. We also know that the same women have limited control over livestock resources, limited access to information, extension, financial services, markets, and so on. So what we know is that for the livestock sector to develop successfully and efficiently, we really need to support women's empowerment. But what we also know is that if we turn it around, livestock really are a key entry point for women's empowerment. This is because livestock can more easily be owned by women and controlled by women than other assets such as land, machinery, buildings, and so on. And livestock assets are self-perpetuating, they just keep growing. They are mobile, so they can be taken by women in case of divorce. They allowed what we call movement upwards. They can be accumulated. And women can sell some of the livestock to buy other species. Women also very often can take autonomous decisions over the smaller species in particular, and they can also be sold in case of emergencies. So in a way, livestock development is also a key entry point for women's empowerment, as much as women's empowerment is very important for livestock development. So, but how do transformative approaches come in there? Well, it's a bit about how we do things. So let me give you an example. We have a project in Ghana where women are raising chickens, and they have issues with Newcastle disease, which is extremely common, a common problem, a common disease for chickens. And they need to just go to the agro-vets to get the vaccines. But they cannot ride a bike to get there. Therefore, they cannot get the vaccine. The agro-vets are too far to be reached on foot. So what do? Do we simply organize a whole system to take the vaccine to the women's houses because they cannot move, which would be an accommodative approach? Or do we engage the community in discussing why is it that women can't use the bicycles? What would be the positive things about them using a bicycle? So do we engage the community through transformative approaches to question some of these gender norms that decided is not appropriate, for example, for women to ride a bike? So in a way, transformative approaches are more long-lasting because they address the root causes of gender biases. They don't just address the symptoms, but they go back to the root causes, which often lie in gender norms, and you've just seen the video. So transformative approaches are more long-lasting and sustainable, so they are essential for livestock development. Now, the constraints, yes, there are quite a few constraints. First of all, transformative approaches are in the landscape of gender analysis for livestock development for some years now, but there is not a whole lot of experience on how to implement them. So we are working on them. We have a number of projects where we are trying to implement the transformative approaches together with the other centers in the CGIAR. So we need to know more, we need to experiment more, we need to understand how transformative and accommodative approaches need to be combined for, to have a most effective and sustainable approach. Also, some of these interventions to address gender norms may take a long time to take place. Not necessarily so, but these kind of social changes and changes in gender norms are quite slow. So this is another challenge that you may encounter. And another challenge is that generally, it's interesting when we talk about transformative approaches, many people react saying, why are you trying to change the local culture? But as you have seen from this video, introducing a technology such as an improved forage that seems extremely neutral is not neutral. Anything new introduced in a community, such as even a forage technology, will change who provides the labor, who takes decisions, who is carrying the forage, who brings the milk to the market. So any technology, any change, any innovation has an impact and will change gender relations as well. So, we are working with transformative approaches and engaging the community to discuss with them how gender norms can change for the better of the household. So the issue that we often face is, oh, why are you engaging with gender transformative approaches? Why are you trying to transform our culture? This is a discussion that we constantly have, and it's an important discussion to have. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Padma, I don't know whether we have you.
Yes, Saloni.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Sorry for that initial technical glitch. Okay, just to reinforce what Alessandra has said, livestock sector, of course, offers a privileged entry point for gender transformative work. Because livestock production, the rural areas, is mainly in the mixed domain with the shared responsibilities. Both men and women share the responsibility. So there is always a scope for improvement. And of course, there are different approaches, which Alessandra has already indicated about the transformative approach. Probably the accommodative gender approach, where you look at the role played, the current role played by the women and try to improvise. That could be an easy entry point. And of course, the transformative approach, where we are looking at the change of role, is also a powerful tool. But as far as the entry point is concerned, probably the accommodative gender approach will be easier. And here in the transformative approach, we use a positive discrimination towards women, like for example, providing loan for women entrepreneurs to start dairy-related or livestock-related business, like commercial poultry production or dairy product business or feed business, which are mainly in the male domain. So you take that approach and then try to transform. Also, women cooperatives, this is a good example. Or women service providers, like breeding service providers or health service providers, and women extension agents. For them, it's something like a full-time job, and we will be in a way creating new opportunities for women to take up roles dominated by men. But a recently discussed approach is a family-based approach, where family welfare is the ultimate goal. And here one doesn't separate individual members in the family, but consider family as the basic unit and then start working towards the welfare. And one can also develop welfare indicators, how the benefits are shared, how workload is shared, etc. And in my opinion, probably a combination of all the three, depending upon the context in which we are working, in which society we are working, probably that will be the right way to go ahead. Over to you, Saloni.
Thank you. We've got two representatives from the cooperative as well. I'd like to bring them in and hear their insights on this. Swati?
Shall I translate the question to Swati?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Swati garu, mana dairy cooperative woman oda development ki ela help ayindi. వుమెనోட డెవలప్మెంట్కి ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేటివ్ అప్రోచ్ అవశ్యమా అదిని గురించి కొంచెం చెప్పండి నిన్నోడ షేరింగ్స్ చెప్పండి ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్
You'll to unmute
చేయండి
My name is Vijaya. Mulkanur Women's Cooperative Dairy President. ఇక్కడ 25,000 మంది మెంబర్స్ తో ఈ డైరీ రన్ అవుతుంది. ఇక్కడ పూరర్స్ దగ్గర నుండి వినియోగదారుల వరకు మొత్తం మహిళలతో ఇది నడవడం జరుగుతుంది. ఇక్కడ మగవాళ్ళ కంటే ఆడవాళ్ళే ఇక్కడ సక్సెస్ గా ఈ డైరీని నడపగలుగుతున్నాం. ఇక్కడ మహిళలతోటే ఈ డైరీ సక్సెస్ కావడం జరిగింది. పశువుల దగ్గర కూడా పూర్తి మహిళలే ఆడ పార్టిసిపేట్ చేస్తారు కాబట్టి మేము పాలు కూడా పశువు దగ్గర నుంచి ఎక్కువ తీసుకోవడం జరుగుతుంది. ఎలాంటి ఇబ్బంది లేకుండా ఈ మొత్తం ఇండియాలోనే నెంబర్ 1 డైరీగా మేము సక్సెస్ఫుల్ గా రన్ చేయగలుగుతున్నాం.
ఓకే సో వాట్ her name is Vijaya. She is the president of this dairy cooperative, that means chairperson of this dairy cooperative. They are successfully running this dairy cooperative with 25,000 to 32,000 women members, and they are running very efficiently than the mixed dairy cooperative nearby their district. They have a government-based mixed dairy cooperative also. When the women are running together as a women-only dairy cooperative, they have not much conflicts. That's the reason. And also they have more participation of women because of compulsory membership of the women. That is making their business without much difficulties and without much conflicts. What is their opinion on the transformative is that the approach of institutional base as a woman from the producers to the processing, that's making their successful model in India. Over to you, Saloni.
Then that leads us to the next question, which is what factors have enabled the success of the Mulkanur model?
Shall I ask to Swati?
Sure.
Swati garu, మీ ములుకునూరు డైరీ కోఆపరేటివ్ సక్సెస్ఫుల్ గా అవ్వందుకు ఏమేమి రీజన్ ఏమేమి ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ వచ్చి హెల్ప్ అయింది?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Swati, working as a fodder officer since 4 years. So our Mulkanur dairy in starting 2002, 60 villages only. In that time, we collect only 6,000 liters only per day. Now present we have 24,000 fodder members and we have 200 villages only. And now we collect 70,000, approximately 70,000 milk, 70,000 liters of milk we collect. And successful rate is in my area, total participation is women, totally women. So that is one thing I think women is good. So this is my annual report. Every year we print and we gave to fodder members. And in village level also, this book is printed and gave to every fodder member. In this book, what is what and yearly financial status and financial programming and running matter and plan to what. So that is gave to one fodder member. And same time, we pay the amount directly to fodder members, only women members. We paid every month 15 days. Every 15 days we paid to amount to dairy farmers and like only women. So this is the big step to we achieve to my goal, I think. And next.
So the Swati's one point very clear is that the
okay. Next one thing also, So we gave to bonus yearly twice to poorer members. Last to 10 crores we gave to bonus to poorer members. So so we gave to some benefits also to poorer members. We gave to feed 100 rupees per bag. Okay. So insurance like that. So our NDDB, International Dairy Development Board, also gave some projects. We provide to that services also members. So that's also very useful for women members. And last time COFS 29 seed also gave to women time, also reduced time, increasing milk, fat, SNF. So that's why more income to poorer members. Utilize.
Thank you, Swati Garu. Swati's one major important point is the transparency. From the villages to the cooperative higher level, there is very clear transparency in the process and also the payment system. And the money doesn't go out of their cooperative. All the things are being circulated within the cooperative, and they have very good network with the government and also non-government organizations to get benefits to the farmers. Over to you, Saloni.
Padma and Alessandra, if you would want to add to the question of the factors that enabled the success of this model.
Probably, Alessandra, do you want to go first?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. See, if you look at the Mulkanur example, this is a classical example of gender transformation in the livestock sector because of two outcomes. The first one is an institutional innovation, and the second one is a technical intervention. The institutional innovation is formation of all women dairy cooperative. It actually provided a brilliant space for specifically targeting women who are the invisible members of the family and also, of course, the community. And a platform was created for them to come together and get involved in a productive work. So that is the institutional innovation. And probably the trade-off is additional workload. Especially compared to the traditional farming systems and intensive system, if you see, the workload is a little more than the traditional system. So, but that doesn't matter. Why? Because nothing comes in a vacuum. And here, the labor, they could use it, put into more productive use. So that is the first part, that is the institutional innovation. And the second one is the technical innovation. And in the conducive environment already created, a technology which is a new forage variety, which is COFS 29, was introduced. And luckily, this technology is a gender sensitive technology, because not all technologies are gender sensitive. There are technologies which are very labor intensive and not women friendly. So luckily, this is a gender sensitive technology, and it benefited women because out of the three technical pillars in livestock production, we say one is genetics, second is health, and third is feed. Out of the three, women's involvement is comparatively higher in feeding and management. So we introduced a technology which is very gender sensitive. At the same time, it could solve some of the problems problems faced by women. For example, this is a very high yield, COFS 29, which is almost double the yield of a normal forage variety. And apart from that, this is a multi-cut variety. That means fodder will be available for an extended period of time. So they don't have to spend time for fodder collection and search for fodder. So in a way that helped to reduce their workload. And it has soft steps, so harvest was easy and smooth, and no chopping is required because women are involved in chopping fodder. This, even if it is not chopped because of the tender stem and the leaves, again, the workload was reduced and their time was also reduced. So, and the higher digestibility compared to normal stovers and straws contributed to more milk production. Now, in mixed cooperatives also, this technology was introduced, and I could see a couple of societies where this was also successfully implemented. But there was no gender transformation in those societies. So, in my opinion, creation of an enabling environment was the trigger in the gender transformation as far as Mulganur is concerned. In scaling terms, we generally say system transformation is the prerequisite for technology uptake. Like that, here also there was an enabling environment created and technology was brought in. So whatever is coming, it will fall in place, provided the environment is made conducive. Now, if you want to ask whether this model can be replicated in other places, the Mulkanur model, I would say replicate the environment, the enablers first, and other technologies will fall into place. Back to you, Sarah.
Alessandra, if you would have.
Yes, I absolutely agree with what Pat has said. And what we often do at Indri is we combine technological innovations with institutional innovations. We bring them together and in a combination that should create an enabling environment. Now, in the specific case of the Mulkanur, I think it would be actually great if we could do a more systematic assessment of the conditions. What is it that made it work? Why is it, I think there was also one question, why is it that some of the men were so supportive? Because surely with the fact women, you know, there were these gender norms of changes, of course, the situation of women changed, which means the situation of their men changed, or their men folk in the household. So how did it change, and why was it agreeable to everybody that women could get more decision making and so on? So I think a systematic assessment to understand exactly what made it work, how did it impact on the men, and why were the men so supportive of this process would be absolutely a next step we need to engage with. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, what are some of the unintended impacts of this, both positive and negative? Douglas, if we'd like to start with you.
Okay, I have to unmute myself.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to sort of tackle that?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'd like to sort of couch this in terms of climate change, because we've got some serious problems happening with change of climate around the world, and what an observation I did want to point out is that the all women's dairy co-op is a unique institution because it's kind of like the perfect resilient organization to have in your corner if you happen to be a small-scale dairy farmer. And that was one of the observations which we sort of saw. Because, let me get my notes here. Well, if you have a changing climate, there's definitely going to be a stress on the ecosystem, which is going to be straining your whole dairy production process, which will ultimately impact the livelihood of the small-scale dairy producers, which ultimately boils down till there will be less income within the households. And once you have less income within the households, you're going to have a strained system within the household. So you're going to have sort of your gender space is going to be impact. It's going to be more negative. People are going to be less nice, and they're going to be more interested in sort of, okay, what are we going to eat tomorrow? So the whole system gets stressed when you have a large climate change impact happening to this whole system. So having a co-op as a backstop for you is terrific, because this organization has a resilience built into it, because the co-op has many tools in its toolbox that can help mitigate the efforts of the local people trying to be able to still make a living when you've got harsh environmental situations. In particular, you know, the co-op can can speed up its technological innovations. It could speed up its education programming for the members of the co-op. It could literally create new markets for the milk products. It can also, because it's such a large institution, it controls the price of the milk. So it has price control. So it also can, in a way, it guarantees loans. And it also has a whole group of highly trained administrators that are well situated within the communities that could also sort of help out. So again, the co-op can act as a backstop for a community during a climate crisis, which will in turn probably keep your gender norm transformation on track within the households. And to a certain extent, you can almost see that if things get really tough, the co-op would get really tough in response to that. And the whole gender norm transformation might even be speeded up simply because there'll be so much effort into sort of working this whole ecosystem problem. Anyway, I don't know if that helped, but back to you, Saloni.
That's
if that makes
insightful.
sense.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. I was wondering if cooperative members would like to speak on it as well. Swati or Thanamal maybe can help.
What is the question, Saloni?
That what are some of
Changes,
the unintended impacts? Yeah, the unintended impacts that could be both positive or and or negative.
Yeah. Swati garu?
Madam.
Swati garu, ee project నుంచి ఏమేమి పాజిటివ్ ఇంపాక్ట్ ఏమి నెగటివ్ ఇంపాక్ట్ అది కనుక్కుంటారు.
So positive income, increasing milk yield and fat, SNF. So negative is nothing presently.
And do you see anything on the capacity building of the woman? Capacity building changes within the household, aim changes.
So within the household, income levels increase ayinayi. Next time vachesi time kuda save ayindi.
Okay. So the Swati's thing, Saloni, Swati's thing is that how it has helped this particular project, Fodder project, helped for enhancing the milk yield, which increased the income and also increased the confidence of the woman within the household. That's a positive. Negative, unintended, they didn't see anything. But my opinion says that long run, if there is any agriculture failure, this crop will help for the whole farm approach, whole farm economic approach. This fodder technology will help definitely, because whenever there is less rainfall, they go for the dairy. So when they go for the dairy, this fodder is very suitable for the climate resilient system, which will increase the income of the farmers and will increase the whole farm income. That's the way I found this positive impact in the climate change, how dairy can cope up the climate change, where I have seen that. Over to you, Saloni.
Thank you. We're going to open it for questions from the audience, and I already see a bunch of them with me here. I'll start with the first one that's there in the chat. There's a question that speaks of that, is wondering where the extra time for the women is coming from. So for example, how is adding the dairy work to what they already do, reducing their daily workload, in terms of how, social changes don't occur in a vacuum. And that's one of the, if someone can, if we can have Thanamal and the cooperative members throw light on that as well.
So let me to start with this, because I was within these villages for 3 years, like ethnography study I did. So I was staying with the people there. So when the dairy cooperative started, men used to resist the membership of women. First thing is that he was afraid that
woman will not take care of the children, will not take care of the husband, will not take care of the kitchen work like that. So that was the first thing came up. But when they started it, when they see the income change and all, and women try to cope up both of these things initially. But after 3-4 years, women were reporting that their husband started supporting in the household work, like taking care of the children when she's attending the meeting. And her mother-in-law, father-in-law helped in vegetable cutting and all when she's away. And moreover, the technological changes helped her to reduce the time also in the dairy. That has also freed her time. I will not say that it has increased the time burden. It has decreased the time. It has decreased the burden of the woman. The technology also decreased, and also the within the household position of the woman changed. That has helped for the shared timing between the household members. That was the positive thing. What was the before and what changes has happened? Over to you.
If we can have Swati and Vijaya share their insights and experiences on it as well, because I think it's really interesting to understand that how they transformed and how the workload was shared.
Swati garu? Swati garu question ఏమంటే ఉమెన్ డైరీ కోఆపరేటివ్ ఇదే ఇప్పుడు ఉమెన్ కి ఇంట్లో చాలా పని ఉంటది కదా, వంట చేయాలా, పిల్లల్ని చూడాలా, అదంతా చూసుకుని ఎలా ఇది మేనేజ్ చేసినారు అని క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతాను. మీరు తెలుగులో చెప్పాలంటే చెప్పొచ్చు, ఇంగ్లీష్ లో చెప్పాలంటే చెప్పొచ్చు.
ఎలా మేనేజ్ చేసినామంటే
స్టార్టింగ్ లో ఎలా మేనేజ్ చేసినారు, లాస్ట్ లో ఎలా వచ్చింది?
సో స్టార్టింగ్ లో కష్టమే అయింది, కానీ కొంచెం కొంచెం వాళ్ళు కూడా అర్థం చేసుకొని టైం ఇచ్చారు, వాళ్ళు కూడా షేర్ చేసుకున్నారు వర్క్.
విజయ్ గారు మీరు ఏதாவது ఒపీనియన్ ఉందా?
తనమాల గారు, మనకు నచ్చినప్పుడు మనం ఏదైనా ఇన్ టైంలో చేయగలుగుతాం, నచ్చనప్పుడు అది అసలు చేయకుండా అక్కడే కూర్చోగలుగుతాం. మనం నచ్చిన పనిని ఎంత కష్టమైనా కూడా ఇష్టంగానే చేస్తాం, కానీ నచ్చని పనిని మనకు టైం ఉన్నా కూడా చెయ్యలేం. ఆ విధంగానే మేము నచ్చే విధంగా ఈ డైరీని మలుచుకొని ఇంట్లో పని మేము చక్కబెట్టుకొని మళ్ళీ డైరీకి టైం ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది. పశువుల దగ్గర కావచ్చు, పసిపిల్లలు ఉంటారు, ఎవరి భోజనం వాళ్ళని చేసిన దానికన్నా పసిపిల్లలకు తినిపించే దాంట్లో మనం ఎక్కువ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇస్తాం. అదే విధంగా డైరీకి కూడా ఎక్కువ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇచ్చి ఇంట్లో పని తొందరగా చేసుకొని పశువుల మీద ఎక్కువ టైం స్పెండ్ చేసి డైరీకి కూడా అదే విధంగా మేము టైం ఇచ్చి డైరీని రన్ చేసుకోగలుగుతున్నాం.
Okay, so what Vijay garu is saying that when you love the profession, when you love the farming, you will have the time. Initially, when the farmers started their work, they loved to have their dairy farming women. They were trying to do both the household work and also the dairy farm. With the technological change, they started doing. When they started doing very dedicated, within the house, Swati adds that within the household, the members shared some of the activities with the women, and also some of the technologies helped to decrease the workload, like cutting the fodder, planting the fodder near the household. In that way, they manage the time very nicely. Over to you, Saloni.
Thank you. We've got a technical question. Maybe Padma can help us unpack this one regarding the engineered grass. What are the, does it require inputs like fertilizer or water that the prior fodder did not? And how does it affect the topsoil? And, does it pull more or different nutrients out of the soil? And what is the long-term impact? And, in terms of, can the seed be kept and used, or must it be bought every year? So just if you can take us through the process of the engineered grass.
Yeah, see, it is similar to other grasses. Only thing is that it's a multi-cut variety, specially developed for that purpose. So the biomass available, total biomass available is almost 80-85 tons when compared to other grasses, which is about 40-45 tons. And 7-8 cuts are possible. And this comes up very well under irrigated condition, and fertilizer, of course, it is applied, especially nitrogen is applied. It will have an impact on positive impact on biomass production.
Great, thank you. Our next question is from Bridge Soni, and he asks, what challenges did you face during the establishment of this woman milk producer cooperative? And what challenges are you expecting in the scale up of this cooperative?
I think this question goes to Swati garu. Swati?
Madam, tell me.
స్వాతి గారు ఫస్ట్ ఈ ఉమెన్ డైరీ కోఆపరేటివ్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసేప్పుడు విజయ గారు చెప్పొచ్చు ఏమేమి కష్టాలు మీరు విలేజెస్ లో చూసినారు ఎలా అదిని సరి చేశారు కరెక్ట్ చేసినారు విజయ గారు
మీ వల్ల కాదు మేమైతే ముందుకెళ్ళి చేస్తాం మీరు బయటికి వెళ్ళని వాళ్ళు కానీ మేమే ముందుండి నడిపిస్తాము అన్నారు కానీ మేము ఛాలెంజ్ గా తీసుకొని ముందుకొచ్చి పశువుల దగ్గర చేయగలిగిన వాళ్ళం బయటికి వెళ్ళలేమా అనే ఉద్దేశంతో మేము ఛాలెంజ్ గా ఇట్లా ముందుకు రావడం జరిగింది మేము తీసుకున్న ఛాలెంజ్ నిరూపించిన తర్వాత వాళ్ళే మాకు ఎక్కువ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇచ్చి ఇల్లును చక్కబెట్టి అన్ని విధాలా చూసుకున్నారు మీరే కరెక్ట్ అనే విధంగా మేము ఈ డైరీని మర్చుకోవడం జరిగింది.
So what Vijaya Garu is telling is that when they started the woman only dairy cooperative, men within that region was telling that how can you do this? You cannot come out of the household. You have to be in the household work and all. How you will run successfully? All the women who were initially joined together as a cooperative, they took it as a challenge. They tried to overcome this challenge, taking more work burden also. But over the few years, all the men accepted that women can do anything. That's a big challenge they try to come out to the men-dominant sector. Over to you, Saloni.
I think this helps us segue into the next question by Isabel and asks, what factors explain that the men were supportive of the change? Especially when they saw that there was a reduction in their influence within the household as well as the community in general.
So what is the factor for the men to support? One thing is that earlier when there is no feed or there is no feed and fodder available in the household, women don't go too much places to get the fodder. So sometimes men used to go. That's a one work burden. The other burden was that men has to earn money to run the whole family. So first and most is that when they increase the milk yield and they increase the income, when they started earning better, increasing the more animals, household herd size increased, better cash flow within the household, men started feeling little bit ease of burden of earning money. That is the other reason. The third aspect is that women also got the knowledge and training from the dairy cooperative. They started discussing about the technological parts. That has made the confidence of the woman within the household. That has made the men also to support women. Okay, she's also good in technological knowledge, everything. That's some of the factors which help them to support within the household. Over to you.
Thank you. The next question is by Rukmini, and she asks, does Indri's work also influence livestock ownership? For example, in India, while women contribute more than 60% of agricultural labor, they own barely 12% of the land. And she expects that the numbers would be similar in livestock, and how has this changed with the work that Indri's been doing? Maybe I could bring Michael in to kickstart this conversation.
Hi. Yeah, for me, I'm not sure if I could really answer that well. I'd probably kick it over to Tanama. We also have Isabel, I think is still online as well, who could probably provide a much more accurate answer to that. I know my limitations. Yeah, Tanama.
Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
So how Indri works in India and the ownership aspect and all. When you take the livestock in India, the ownership, unlike in Africa,
In India, livestock is owned by the family, not like women or men. Owned by the family, but most of the work used to be owned by the woman. That's the normal scenario. When you come to the ownership of the income, if it is very less income, woman gets. If the income is very attractive, men comes inside. So when they have 1 or 2 animal with the 1 or 2 liters of milk, woman earns the milk come earlier, like my mother and all. When they get 5 animals, 6 animals, increase the productivity and increase the household income, men comes inside and they try to control the income that way. But here the example of the Mulkunur Women Dairy Cooperative is the payment is only to the woman. That way they are trying to control. The money is going to the woman, but she in turn gives within the household for all the expenses. That's the one thing. Indri is right now working on the ownership pattern, means we are trying to work on where the women contribution. Like if you take the Bihar livestock master plan, right now Indri is working on the Odisha master plan. First and foremost is trying to see what is the gender analysis, what is the role of men, what is the role of women plays role, what's the decision making done by men and women, different species, market, all the places we are trying to capture what is the role played by men and women in the livestock whole. From there, that analysis, we are trying to suggest to the policies and also to the master plans how women can be, or women and men inclusive policies can be developed. In this way, there are some research projects are going with the ILRI and the government of India. Some of the states are involved in these projects. Over to you, Saloni.
Saloni, I may also add something here in terms of the work that ILRI is doing on, the changes in ownership patterns as well. Well, we are generally trying to look at what we call the livestock ladder, which is what I was saying before. It seems that because women can own livestock much more easily than land or buildings or machinery, a lot of the women we talk to, really many parts of the world, they really talk about the fact that now they have a plan. They have 30 chicken, they want to get to 50 chicken and then they sell and get a goat. And then they may try and get 2 goats and then sell them. So they really try and build their assets this way through livestock. And so they have plans to scale up, which probably would also end up in, buying a piece of land. So it's what we are trying to understand also relates to what Tanamal just said, that there seems to be a level that we've seen in so many places that when the livestock business becomes lucrative, so when you start having a lot of the chicken that start producing a lot of the eggs and then you can sell it in the market, very often it becomes a very interesting business for the men. And in many cases, the men then decide to take over the business and start selling the livestock product, the eggs or the milk and so on, and women lose control over this. So we're trying to understand also, how does this ladder this livestock ladder we talk about work? Is there a kind of a number of animals in each species that kind of can keep women in control of the species, and how can they move along this livestock ladder? This is continuous research that we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question by Winifred asking what are the, to expand on the technological innovation that is occurring. Maybe Padma and Alessandro, you can start with this one.
Saloni, can you clarify the question? Sorry, I wasn't clear.
To expand on the technological innovation that is occurring.
Okay, so maybe Padma on the Tanamal on the forage variety, maybe more.
Sure.
Yeah, is that what is referred?
Yeah, actually we discussed this before. The technological intervention is a forage variety which can produce a large quantity of biomass over a longer period of time. So since women are involved in collecting fodder and grazing animals, so it certainly reduced their workload in terms of collecting fodder because it is available in the farm over a longer period of time, an extended period of time, because other grasses, for example, if you see, it's just one cut, maize forage, for example. And if this grass can be cut to 7 to 8 times. So that is the intervention. And also the harvesting was much easier, and it has a higher digestibility, and therefore the contribution to production is also higher. No chopping is required, so that means the labor got reduced. So that's the technical intervention, which I would say is pro women or gender sensitive.
And what are the innovations that are taking place? In terms of the tech, what are the further innovations that are being looked into or being considered?
There are many innovations. When you move from subsistence farming to commercial farming, a lot of innovations come in, but all need not necessarily are gender sensitive. For example, TMR is a technology, total mixed ration, where you don't have to chop. It's a ready-made feed is available, which can be fed to the animals straight away. So probably that is a very again pro-women gender sensitive technology. Choppers, many choppers, people, because if you chop the forages, then the intake, the dry matter intake will be more, and therefore the contribution to milk production will also be more. But women have to spend a lot of energy and time in terms of chopping. So there are many technologies. We cannot say that all are positive in terms of from the gender perspective. But I think ultimately, if the benefit is coming to the family, people, even if it is slightly workload is more. Anyway, if you transit from subsistence to a kind of commercial, semi-commercial system, a lot of changes will be happening. But in terms of results also, it will be there. As long as it goes to the family, it's fine. But if it is controlled by men, of course, it's an area where we need some attention.
And I'd like to ask, oh, sorry. Sure.
One point just to add both of them, like what are the other technological or innovations within Indri? Like if you take the conservation of fodder through the silage. In India, silage small scale is not working out. Indri is trying to do right now the bag silage, which they can conserve the fodder and they can feed it after 2 months. The same nutrients will be there. That is means silage, processing the green fodder and feeding later days. Now they have introduced 25 kg to 1 ton of silage bags techniques with the small innovations of vacuum cleaner to take out the air. That is being done. And the another thing Badmaji has missed it out is the app. Like right now, the productivity gap in India is very high in dairy animals. In that, 50% of the gap is due to the availability of quality and quantity feed and fodder. So if you do some extension activities for the balanced ration, for that Batma team has developed a very good tool it's a smartphone app where the farmers can enter the feed what they are giving. It can give results of how much it is the gap, what they can increase, how they can decrease the cost of production, and all this is happening. Other innovations, not only in the feed, the other innovations within Indri, like animal health innovations, vaccine developments, and then disease prevention aspects, and animal health control measures, like enhancing the quality of the milk through some innovations in Assam. Those are some of the projects within India is also happening. Over to you.
I'd also like to ask our cooperative representatives, Swati and Vijay, about, what are the other advances or technological advances that they see taking place, especially the younger generations now returning back to the field. There's been a higher influx of education, and STEM has really picked up. So are they looking at, is there something that's brewing in terms of advancements through tech?
Swati Vijay garu. Swati Nara online lo Nara Swati.
మేడం చెప్పండి.
ఓకే, వాళ్ళ క్వశ్చన్ ఏమంటే ఇప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు యంగర్ జనరేషన్స్ డైరీలో వచ్చారంటే ఏమి టెక్నాలజికల్ ఇన్నోవేషన్స్ ఇప్పుడు డైరీలో జరుగుతూ ఉంది, అది ఎలా యంగర్ జనరేషన్స్ ని అట్రాక్ట్ చేస్తాయి? యంగర్ జనరేషన్స్ వచ్చారా?
సో ఎస్ మేడం, యంగర్ జనరేషన్ వచ్చారు. వాళ్ళు ఏంటి అంటే కమర్షియల్ అగ్రికల్చర్ సైడ్ కూడా వెళ్తున్నారు. అంటే కమర్షియల్ అగ్రికల్చర్, సస్టైనబుల్ అగ్రికల్చర్ అంటే లైక్ సీడ్ తీయడము, సీడ్ అమ్మడము, ఇట్లాంటి వైపు చాలా మంది కూడా వచ్చిండ్రు. ఇంకా అంటే డిఫరెంట్ బ్రీడ్స్ తీసుకొచ్చి ఎక్కువ మిల్క్ ఈల్డ్ వచ్చే వెరైటీస్ తీసుకొచ్చి ఫాడర్ డెవలప్ చేస్తూ మిల్క్ ఎక్కువ గెయిన్ చేయడము, ఇన్కమ్. ఇంకా ఈ కరోనా వల్ల లాస్ట్ 6 months నుంచి ఎవరైతే చాలా మంది కూడా అంటే జాబ్స్ మానేసి ఇంటికి వచ్చారో, సో వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా మన దీనిపైన చాలా మంది కూడా డిపెండ్ అవుతున్నారు.
Let me to translate what Swati said. The last I am going to the first. Due to the COVID, many graduates, many young generation lost their job in IT field and engineering sector. They came back to their villages and they started getting very good breeds, and they are adopting these technological fodder technology introduced by Mulkunur Dairy Cooperative. They started following that. And nowadays, young generations are attracted to the high price, to the milk, and also to the high technology being introduced by them. It is attracting to the younger generations, making dairy as a enterprise model they are trying to take forward. When the last 3-4 years experience in this region, at least 10% of youth is taking up the herd size of 10 cows per household. Like that, they have started increasing in this region. Over to you, Saloni.
We also have Karen Marshall. I think she works on innovation in breeding at Indri. If we can, Karen, if you would like to come in with your insights. Karen, if you can hear us, you may need to unmute. Maybe we can bring her, come back to the question with Karen, maybe with better connectivity. We have another question from Fernando, where he asks, has this improved situation had an impact in the state side of the equation with regards to the modification of public policies or regulatory framework? Tanamal, if you want to take this one up.
Yeah, so because of this project we implemented in this region, like especially like NABARD is the Rural Development Bank, and the Animal Husbandry Department, whoever came to the meeting and all, they are also promoting the same fodder technologies or woman-friendly technological things within their projects, like that they are taking forward. And for your information, like when we shared this story with the Bihar government, they also increased the women participation. There was a scheme of 30% women members. They have increased to 50% women members. After the Indri's intervention in the Livestock Master Plan, they increased the membership from 30% to 50%. Like that, whatever we are doing, we try to make it like a policy paper, and we try to telling loud to the public sector also how the technologies, how the interventions changing the livelihood of the people together, and also to the women empowerment aspect also. It's changing their mindset, and also some of the things taken up in the public policies as well.
We have another question from Isabel, wherein she asks, when watching the video and of especially, you know, when the cash was being handled and transferred, she wonders whether mobile money is an innovation that is being considered. For example, ICT-based data management or...
Swati garu?
Yes, ma'am.
Mobile
Yeah, we are
istara
using
meer
mobile. Yes, ma'am, yes. Recently that also we are started.
Great.
That's great. We have another question wherein Thanamal and Swati and Vijay can throw light on this as to the kids that are coming back due to COVID and other reasons. If they're traditionally male, is there a danger that the technological knowledge will once again fall into the hands of the male?
Okay. I think you can see that the graduates coming back, it's not male only, it's male and men and women, like both boys and girls who are coming back, they are trying to take up. I have visited some of the interesting families, like a couples, like IT, both who worked as a IT field, they got frustrated with the always sitting in the computer. They came back and they started the dairy, 12 animals they have started. They are enjoying their livelihood. As a whole thing they are taking. It's not like women and men, but they are taking men and women. But the membership there, even though men is doing, he's taking the woman to take a lead role to become a member, to participate in the meetings. That's very visible in this region.
And in terms of the studies of this technological innovation, has the spillover, there's a question by Fernando again, in terms of the spillover of the technological innovation, has it been studied in relation to the other aspects? For example, improved income situation like access to credit and bank use?
So right now we have planned a big study with Alexandra also. How the whole ecosystem we are studying. Earlier we have tried to see what is this technology on the timing, money aspect, gender position, like that. But we didn't see the whole ecosystem. What are the changes? What is the spillover of this effect to the, like you said, credit system and all. There is a study planned. There was study planned. Because of COVID, we couldn't take out. Maybe next year the study is being planned. Because now they have also, a few entrepreneurs came up to sell this fodder seed. Around 4 farmers they have planted, just they are selling this seed. When we introduced this fodder, only 32 farmers we introduced. Right now it is more than 1,000 farmers have adopted this fodder variety. And some of the farmers, they started producing this seed and they are just selling this seed to the other farmers, like entrepreneurs.
I think there's a question for Swati and Vijay in terms of what are their future plans with the cooperative and, in the coming years, short term and long term, and how is COVID impacting them?
Vijay garu? Vijay garu?
చెప్పండి మ్యామ్.
మీ కోఆపరేటివ్ నెక్స్ట్ ప్లాన్ ఏమి? ఇది ఫాడర్ కాదు, మీ కోఆపరేటివ్ ఓవరాల్ ప్లాన్ ఏమి? ఈ కోవిడ్ నుంచి ఏதாவது ప్లానింగ్ చేంజ్ చేసినారా? నెక్స్ట్ 5 year ప్లాన్ ఏమి? కోఆపరేటివ్ ప్లాన్
ఇంకా డెవలప్ చేసి ఒకరి మీద ఆధారపడకుండా ఇప్పటికీ ఎలా అయితే ఉన్నారో ఇంకా రిచ్గా వాళ్ళ పిల్లల్ని ఇదే బిజినెస్ లో టెక్నాలజీ ప్రకారం ఇన్వాల్వ్ అయ్యే విధంగా మోటివేట్ చేసి వాళ్ళకు ట్రైనింగ్లు ఇచ్చి ఈ డైరీని ఇంకా ఫ్యూచర్ లో కూడా ఇంకా ఎక్కువ రన్ అయ్యే విధంగా వాళ్ళ పిల్లలకి కానీ ఇందులో అవేర్నెస్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ ఇప్పించి ఇది కంటిన్యూ అయ్యేలాగా చూసుకోవాలని మా ఫ్యూచర్ ప్లాను. ఇంకా దీంట్లో ఏ రకంగా ప్రోడక్ట్ ద్వారా ఇంకా ఎక్కువ లాభాలు వచ్చే విధంగా ప్లాన్ చేసి వెనకాల ఉన్న పూరర్స్ కి ఎక్కువ లాభాలు వచ్చే విధంగా వాళ్ళకు ఎలాంటి ఇబ్బందులు జరగకుండా చూసుకోవడానికి ఫ్యూచర్ డైరీ ప్లాన్స్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది.
So at present only we collect 70,000 liters milk. We plan for 1 lakh liters. And products also different varieties also we plan to different varieties. So as usual, so coming generations kuda inka vachi vallu baga cheste memo supportive ga untamu. But recently we start fortification milk. So in that milk A and D vitamin added. So So that type of milks we introduce with the help of NDDP, and our goal healthy milk to reach customers in our Mulkanu dairy goal, and same time we increasing prices and increasing more income to farmers like women members. They have helps to women family members and children education. So we support and we helps to farmers.
Thank you, Swati Garu. And Vijaya, I would like to translate Vijaya's thing is that Vijaya Garu was telling that she would like their dairy cooperative is planning to increase the income of the existing farmers through introducing many technologies, and also they would like to involve the next generation to take dairy as an enterprise model, not like subsistence but an enterprise model. And they have started some new products development, like not only in the production side but also they try to see in the product side to the customers how they can increase the nutritive value of the milk, so that the consumers get benefit, health benefit, and also the producers will get a higher income for the milk food. That's their long-term plan. Over to you, Saloni.
Are there any questions from the audience? You can raise your hand or you can drop it in the chat box before we move on to closing remarks from our panelists. I guess not. So we'll move on to closing remarks. Alessandra, if you want to kickstart with closing remarks for the session, please.
Closing remarks, yes, sure. So first of all, thanks again for inviting. This was an excellent event. And the Mulkanu story is really very exciting and very inspiring. So yes, I think my main point is let's make sure we integrate gender considerations in these interventions that we are doing. And what I find very important is that we do so not just looking at women and women's empowerment, but keeping in mind the gender approach. So putting women's empowerment in the bigger context of the family, community, and what the local norms are. Because I strongly believe that only by understanding these wider dynamics can we actually make progress and not have backlashes, which are of course very dangerous. And again, what I think we need to understand more, and this is my message to ourselves as a gender research community, we need to really more systematically assess when gender transformative approaches are successful, under what conditions, and how do they combine with the gender accommodative approaches, and to systematically really assess what happens when. And this very much builds on the discussion today, and this is something we started doing in a number of other projects, so hopefully we'll be able to do that systematically in the future. So but thanks for listening in.
Thank you so much. I see we've got Karen back. I don't know, Karen, if you can hear us, if you could kindly unmute and give us your insights. We missed you earlier on the question of technological innovations that Indri is pursuing. You could give us a few brief points on that. In case you can hear me and you're trying to speak, you'll have to unmute. Okay, I think the internet challenge is there. No worries. Moving on to Padma, if you want to share your closing remarks, please.
Yeah. See, the Mulkanur case is, in my opinion, is an exception. So we cannot generalize exceptions. So the key is actually mainstreaming this approach into the general programs as well as in other cooperatives. Probably we have to use a combination of different approaches. Like, for example, converting all cooperatives, dairy cooperatives, into women-only cooperatives is a difficult proposition. That may not be that much feasible. So what we can do is, whenever new dairy cooperatives are formed, make them all women cooperatives, for which we have to convince the cooperative authorities initially. So some kind of policy advocacy is required, because considering the role played by women, whenever new dairy cooperatives are formed, it should be women cooperatives, women only cooperatives. That is one. Simultaneously, no, wherever conversion is not possible, conversion of existing cooperative into women cooperative is not possible, follow the accommodative gender approach, look at the role women play, and introduce interventions that are very gender sensitive, which we discussed earlier. And third one is a targeted approach for the role transformation. That is promote entrepreneurship, women service providers, women extension agents, etc., by looking at this as a profession or a full-time job. And Tannamal was indicating about the youth coming back, and probably they will be able to take up these entrepreneurship attempts. And see, Douglas was also indicating about the climate change. Probably because the climate change, the productivity is going to get reduced, and also the forage availability will be reduced. And we never know, sometimes people may switch from dairy animals to small ruminants, which is in the female domain. So that is positive in that respect. So a targeted approach is the third one. And we should use a combination of these approaches with the ultimate aim of mainstreaming this kind of models. Because a few exceptions will not serve the purpose. Of course, it has given us the way forward, but we should use the learnings to scale up in different countries, especially developing countries. Yeah, back to you.
Tannamal, if you can share us your closing remarks, share with us your closing remarks, please.
So thank you very much for organizing this event. My concluding remarks will be like how the gender equality can be achieved in the technological changes. That's the one of the main thing which I learned from this project, and I learned from this PhD journey also. How we can make the system accommodative for the women also to participate. Because this women dairy cooperative, it is not only women, but men also participating in some of the trainings and capacity building. But women is given an importance, and they are compulsorily participating in it. Like that, not only as a woman-only dairy cooperative, but it could be another institutional model, how we can get the women also to be accommodative into the training and the capacity building aspects. That's a very important aspect. We have to consider this. Some of the interventions which, if you tap to the woman, it can go very high adoption. That interventions you can go like these institutional models. That way, I'll close this remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tannamal. And I think you have to leave. So if I could just request 2 more minutes for you to stay on and help us share Swati and Vijaya's closing remarks as well.
Sure. Swati garu,
madam,
closing la edavadu cheppaltara.
Okay. Thank you for everyone for your support, and thank you given to this opportunity. Thank you so much. Our 24,000 members. Thanks. Okay. Thank you.
Vijay garu, meer eda cheppali talusukuntara Vijay garu?
ఓకే అండి, మీ సపోర్ట్ కూడా 24,000 మందికి అంది ఇచ్చిండ్రు. అందరి పని భారం తగ్గించిండ్రు. మామూలుగా అంతకుముందు పౌడర్ తీసేటప్పుడు ఎక్కువ టైం అయ్యేది. ఇప్పుడు అందుబాటులో ఈ కోఎఫ్ఎస్ 29 గడ్డి వల్ల అందరికి పని శ్రమ తగ్గింది. దానివల్ల మా 24,000 మంది తరఫున మేము మీకు ధన్యవాదాలు తెలుపుతున్నాం.
But Vijay Garu was telling that the Fodder project implemented by Indri has reduced the labor burden for the women and also to the household members. So very thankful for that. Like that, we would like to have an association with any research organizations like Indri who can support all these 24,000 farmers. On behalf of those farmers, we would like to thank you all. So over to you, Saloni.
Thank you so much. Final remarks from Michael and Douglas, and then I'll move on to Elsa for closing the session.
Thanks, Alani. I don't really have much to add. Just want to thank everybody. I think it was a great session, really interesting and insightful, and it really shows, you know, the need. Innovation is not about doing something new, but really about combining existing technologies with kind of social changes. And I think this is what really shows it. You know, we have a forage production, we have the market, which is really important, and that really drives the innovation and the incentives. So yeah, great job, everybody, and thank you very much. And thanks again to the Rotary Peace Foundation for hosting this. Over.
Okay, I actually want to thank the 24,000 members of the co-op for allowing me to come and to visit and to film and to meet them all and to meet Tanamal and Tanamal's help. We could not have done any of this media creation without her, and with Hillary's help and Michael's help. And also thanks to the Rotary Peace Foundation for allowing us to get this story out. And my last remark is that, you know, this is a very interesting story, and it's not done yet, and it deserves to be followed up on. And I'd be curious to see what the co-op was doing 2-3 years from now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll close the panel session and the Q&A. Thank you to all the members who've raised questions and to the audience who patiently sat through with us throughout this discussion. Over to you, Elsa.
Well, thank you so much. This was such an enlightening discussion. Honestly, in 2002, they were working across 60 villages, and today it's over 200 villages with 24,000 women in the workforce. India is a country which is not faring well on gender equality, so these kind of projects really give us a lot of hope, and if they can be scaled up, it would benefit us immensely as a country. I don't know if people are aware, but in India, the women's participation in the formal labor force is dropping year on year. Today it's at 24%, which is really way below our potential. And initiatives like these can really be a game changer, where women get access to finances, have agency at their own village level. So thank you so much for sharing. This truly is a whole model case, and we would love to thank you. And thank you to all the speakers, and thank you to my co-hosts Saloni and Spencer for putting it together. I want to draw your attention that we have another panel coming up, another session coming up, not a panel. It's part of our Bearing Witness series, which, if you've been keeping track, we've been hosting for the last several months. This topic is Survivors of Gender-Based Violence in India Speak Up. It's on 12th December at 2 p.m. India time, 3:30 Bangkok time, 7:30 p.m. Australia, Eastern Australia, and 9:30 a.m. Central European time. I've put the registration link in the chat section. We hope to see you there. The Bearing Witness series is really going to the grassroots, just like we did today with Swati and Vijaya, and we hope that you will come back. Do check our website as well, because we've posted all the videos over there. And we would love to stay engaged with you. So in the chat section, do tell us what are the topics that you want to hear, and we will try to arrange those sessions in the new year. Thank you on behalf of the Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association and all my fellow Rotary Peace Fellows. We are really thrilled to bring all these sessions to you. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.